Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Emeth and to our Shabbat Evening Service. I welcome you here to the Rabbi Louis J. Siegel Sanctuary in Teaneck, New Jersey. If you are joining us on live stream this evening, I say Shabbat Shalom to you. I'm so glad you're able to view us. And I want to remind you that the Siddur that we use at this service is Mishkan Tefillah. If you have a copy of Mishkan Tefillah at home, now is the time to bring it to your screen or to your device so that you can follow along with each and every song and prayer and page number in our service this evening. Also, if you are watching on live stream, you can take a moment right now to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. It can be something as simple as your name or your location or Shabbat Shalom, but if you put something in there, then others will see that you are there, and in this way we form bonds of virtual community together. If you are joining us here in the sanctuary, I'd like to say Shabbat Shalom to you. You know where to find your copy of Mishkan Tefillah. It should be right in front of your seat. And now that you have your copy of Mishkan Tefillah, we are going to begin our service with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. So I invite you to turn in Mishkan Tefillah to page 120, where we find the blessing for our Shabbat candles. It is preceded by an opening reading. And for the honor of leading us in the candle blessing this evening, we call upon Deborah Rodriguez. Stand right by the candles and read one of English.
Thank you, Rabbi and community. As these Sabbath candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Okay, lift it up by the base and light the two candles by the base. Okay, you can snuff out the little one. There's your blessing.
Baruch, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, and thank you all.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner.
Brought your own book. Fabulous. Come stand right in the middle.
Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And this should be the same thing. Thank you. Let me give them the page number. We continue with our Shabbat Evening Kiddush, which is found on page 123, preceded by an opening reading. For the honor of the Kiddush, we call upon Alan Zimmerman. Please rise if you are able for the Kiddush.
Thank you, Rabbi. As evening falls, we give thanks for the blessings of the past week, for life and strength, for work and rest, for home, love, and community. As we enjoy this bounty, may we be inspired to bring goodness into the lives of others. We raise a cup of wine in gratitude for the miracle of creation and for the gift of this day of rest. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu Shabbat Kodsho Be'avav Ratzon Idchilanu Zikaron Lema'aseh Bereshit Ki hu Yom Techila Lemigrai Kodesh Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim Ki varu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'anim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchalotanu baruch atah Adonai mikadosh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
Shabbat shalom. Please be seated. We continue now with an opening song, which is found in Mishkan Tefillah on page 128. We are joined on the bima this evening by Emma Eig, who is home from college now to begin her summer back in Bergen County, and she is here on the bima to sing a couple of solos later, but right now a duet with Cantor Tillum for our opening song. So please join with us as Cantor Tillum and Emma Eig lead us in singing Ma Yafeh Hayom. We turn now to page 126 in the Siddur. On page 126, we find an opening reading. Please join with me reading in English. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We turn now to page 144 in the Siddur, and our service continues with the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach yidutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'v'zman kariv v'immeru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olam me'olamaya Vidbar vidroma vidnase, Yitadar Yitale, Yitalal, Shemed Grisha, Berihu, Leila min kol bichata v'shirata, Tush bechata v'nechemata, Damiron me'alma, V'imiru, Amen.
Please rise if you are able for the Baruch Hu, page 146. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtsono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai Tsebaot Shemo, El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים Liot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We turn now to page 157 as we read together in English at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
ונאמר כי בר אדוני את יעקב גלומר חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeis sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael Vishamru et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam b'rit olam Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי Shabbat v'yinavash.
Our service continues now on page 164 with the tefillah. Please rise if you are able for the tefillah.
Sefatav tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umei Gulav Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Hava, Melech Ozer, Moshiach Umagen. Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiya Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata Lechayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Ata Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom lechalucha Selah. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated as we turn to page 173. We read responsively in the middle of the page, "Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sad and sweet poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of the living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat." We turn now to page 179, where we find a prayer for peace. We read together. "Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, ba'shalom." We take a moment now for Tfilat Halev, the opportunity to offer to God the prayer of our hearts. Inspirational readings for this moment are found on pages 180 and 181.
Beiteinu Uloenu L'chaim u'shalom Me'ata ve'ad olam Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomereinu L'chaim Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomereinu L'chaim V'hamidenu Shomereinu L'chaim.
Our service continues now on page 363 of the Siddur, as we begin now with Seder Kriyat Torah, our service for the reading of the Torah. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We continue in the middle of the next page. Please rise. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shema. Gadol Adonai ti, Anerabima Shema Yachdav. Lecha Adonai HaGedula, HaGivara, HaTiferet, HaNetzach, HaAd. Ki chol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, Ki chol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai ha'malachat, Yamid Masi, Lecha lerosh.
Please be seated. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Bamidbar. It is the first Torah portion as we move to a new book of the Torah, the book of Numbers. This is also EMS, well, I don't know if it's EMS Shabbat per se, but it's the Shabbat leading into EMS week, where we are encouraged as a community and as a nation to show appreciation for our EMTs, our emergency medical technicians who offer emergency medical services when they are called upon. And when I was asked to participate in EMS Shabbat, I asked, is there some connection to the Torah portion? And I was told no. So I took it upon I have a little Devar Torah prepared with lots of brilliant teachings from not this week's Torah portion. But here we are, we're about to read from the beginning of a new Torah portion, so I have to come up with something. So here goes. The book of Numbers, especially the opening chapters of the book of Numbers, is all about a census. That's why it's called the book of Numbers. First, we hear the names of the people who are in charge of the census. That's what I'll be reading aloud. And then we hear the counting, the head count of the 11, let's call them regular tribes, the 11 tribes of Israel that are in charge of the normal things like the defense of the country. And only after we've counted those 11 tribes do we get to a very special group of people, the Levites. The Levites are not in charge of the regular stuff. They are in charge of the holy stuff. They're in charge of the tabernacle and the things that go inside the tabernacle. They have to be a certain age to do this. Presumably they have training, and that this training is passed from father to son so that when the next generation reaches that critical age, they are ready to do this and carry out these special responsibilities which benefits the entire community. So too, we have a very highly trained group of people known as EMTs. And we call upon them when we need them, but we trust that they are trained when we're not looking. We trust that they're counting each other to make sure that there are enough of them on duty at any given time. We trust that they come into our homes and our lives when called upon with the same care that the Levites used when they handled the holy objects of the tabernacle. And so perhaps today's Levites are the EMTs that show up at our home when we call 911. Something to think about. But in the meantime, we're going to hear the story of the original Levites and the original Israelites, and especially the people who were in charge of counting them, as our Torah portion begins with a roster of the people in charge of the census. So I'll be reading from Numbers chapter 1, verse 1, which you can find here in the sanctuary in the large blue Torah commentary books beginning on page 1028. Page 1028. And if you're watching us on live stream and you have a copy of the revised Torah commentary at home, you can follow along with this same section, Numbers 1:1, on page 899 in the revised Torah commentary, page 899. And for the honor of the Aliyah, we call upon Ina and Michael Silverstein. Michael, are you going to do this? Okay, great. Come stand. And Ina, put your hand right here so it doesn't roll closed on me. And we are ready.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Barak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Ve'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher B'chabanu Michol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai El Moshe b'midbar Sinai be'ohel moed be'echad lechodesh hasheni b'shana hashenit litzeitam me'eretz Mitzrayim lemor se'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael lemishpachotam leveit avotam v'mispar shemot kol zachar legugulotam Mi ben esrim shana v'amala kol yotzei tzava b'Yisrael tifkedu otam litzivotam atave aharon v'itchem yihiu ish lamate ish rosh levet avotav hu ve'ele shemot ha'anashim asher ya'amdu itchem L'Reuven Elitzur ben Shteur, L'Shimon Shlumiel ben Tzri Shaddai, L'Yehuda Nachshon ben Aminadav, L'Yisachar Netanel ben Suar, L'Zvulun Eliav ben Chelon, L'Ivnei Yosef, L'Ephraim Elishama ben Amihud, L'Mnashe Gamliel ben Pedatsur, Leven Yamin Avidan ben Gidoni, Ledan Achiezer ben Amishadai, Leasher Pagiel ben Ochran, Legad El Yasaf ben Duel, Lenaftali Achira ben Enan, Ele Krue Haida, Nisi'e Matot Avotam, Rashi Alfei Yisrael, Hem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'kei alanu b'bedukenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Asher Koch, you see right behind me. Asher Koch. This time our thoughts turn to those in need of healing as we prepare a Mishaberach for healing. If you're thinking of someone in need of healing and you're watching on live stream, I invite you to enter the name of your loved one in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. And here in the sanctuary, if you're thinking of someone in need of healing, I invite you to share their name out loud or in your heart. As a congregation, we think of our temple members and their loved ones in need of healing. Their names will appear on your screen, either on live stream or here in the corner of the sanctuary, as we turn now to page 371 and we join together in the Mishaberach.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue now with the lifting and dressing of the Torah, found at the bottom of page 370. Please rise if you are able for Hagba and Galila. Okay, Michael, step on over, and you can here. Yep, lift it. Drag it off and then lift it nice and high.
V'zot ha'Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael, al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yalalai, 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 yalalai,
We remain standing as we turn to page 374. Yehallelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado.
Adam eretz v'shamayim hayarem keren le'ama tehillah lechol hazidat livnei Yisrael am kirava. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Ki Teshuva. Chodesh, Chodesh Yomenu, Chodesh Yomenu, Kekadam.
Please be seated. Thank you. You're welcome. Choose life, that you and your children may live. This quote from the book of Deuteronomy is usually interpreted figuratively. Moses is restating the terms of the covenant to a new generation, and he wants them to choose life and blessing. This is how the covenant will be upheld and the Jewish people will endure. But choosing life, of course, can also have a literal meaning. There are people in our society, in our community, who choose life by committing themselves to be emergency medical technicians or EMTs. They choose this path for a variety of reasons, but what they all have in common is that they give of their time, sometimes at odd hours of the day and week, to serve their community. They commit themselves to assisting whoever calls upon them, regardless of race, religion, age, or background. They choose life because when our lives are at risk, they are ready to respond. There are, to be sure, no ambulances in the Torah. No EMTs just waiting on call, as the members of the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps are doing at this moment, all the way at the other end of Windsor Road. But the roots of emergency medical services are in our sources, if you know where to look for them. Take, for example, the book of Exodus, chapter 1. Pharaoh has an evil plan to kill all the newborn Hebrew boys. He does not dispatch his own officers to carry out his genocidal plan. Rather, he calls upon the Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah. They refuse to carry out the order, making up the excuse that they cannot arrive in time to deliver the boys, and therefore cannot carry out the decree. But this is clearly a lie. Their job is to drop everything when called upon and arrive in time for childbirth and labor, which in those days must have been very dangerous. The midwives are the first to fill the role that EMTs serve, being present to bring new life into the world and concentrating on this task alone, even to the extent that they must ignore the political swirl around them. For their dedication and courage, God establishes households for them. In Numbers chapter 17, God sends a plague against the Israelites for their faithlessness. Though God intends destruction, Moses and Aaron act quickly to stop the plague. The Torah specifies that upon Moses' instructions, Aaron runs into the plague with his fire pans. This scene was unprecedented. There is no way they could have known what to expect or if the plague would affect them too. Nonetheless, they enter this unfamiliar situation with their fire pan and incense, and the plague is checked. Like today's EMTs, Moses and Aaron quickly size up the situation, assume some risk upon themselves, and use the tools available to them to save lives. There are some out there who believe that earthquakes, storms, and other natural phenomena are acts of God, but that doesn't deter EMTs from working to save lives in these dangerous situations. Remember that the plague in Numbers was literally an act of God, but Moses and Aaron were not deterred in their efforts to save lives. A third text expresses the values now formalized by EMTs, and it's found in the book of 2 Kings chapter 4, which is the Haftarah portion from Parashat Vayera. Elisha, the disciple of the prophet Elijah, has become accustomed to visiting the town of Shunem and has befriended a Shunammite woman who has no children. Recognizing that he is a holy man, the Shunammite woman prepares a guest room for Elisha that he can use whenever he comes to town. Wanting to repay her for her kindness, he tells her that in a year's time she will have a son, a prophecy that comes true. Years later, the boy has some kind of seizure and dies, or so it seems. Elisha is summoned immediately, and upon seeing the boy's lifeless body, performs a version of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Life returns to the boy, and he sneezes 7 times and opens his eyes. His mother is immensely grateful, but Alicia does not request payment, nor does he receive any. Alicia performs this life-saving act, call it a miracle if you will, in a place where he visits often and knows the people. Many counties like ours would rely on a county-wide professionalized EMS, but we are fortunate in Teaneck and similar municipalities because our EMTs come from the community. We may not know them personally, but we recognize their uniform and the mission they serve. And like Alicia, TVAC does not ask for payment in exchange for emergency medical services. Instead, they rely on donations from the entire community, including many who have never had to call upon them. Reading about the midwives, about the intervention of Moses and Aaron against God's plague, and about Elisha and how he revived the son of the Shunammite woman, it is clear that our emergency medical service infrastructure has roots in our holy texts. Each text in its way shows the fulfillment of the commandment in Deuteronomy to choose life. But in our time, it is not inevitable that EMS services will always be accessible. It is only through community support that we can know they are waiting to receive our call. The coming week is designated as EMS Week. It is a time for us to remember and appreciate the EMS personnel that help preserve life in every community. But being here in Teaneck, it is a special opportunity to thank the volunteers of the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps. In that spirit, it is my pleasure to call upon my good friend Sarah Monchar, a physician assistant who manages the trauma program at Hackensack University Medical Center, and a former TVAC member, to speak at this time on behalf of the organization.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you for having me here tonight. This year, it's the 49th annual EMS Week. It was established in 1974 by President Gerald Ford to celebrate EMS practitioners and the important work that they do. This year's theme is EMS, where emergency care begins. Just last week, the COVID-19 public health emergency officially expired in the U.S., 40 long months after it was declared back in 2020. As many of you are aware, Teaneck was at the epicenter of the initial outbreaks in the U.S., which put our first responders on the front lines. As this weekend kicks off National EMS Week, a time to celebrate EMS practitioners and the important work that they do in our communities, we want to use this time to raise awareness of the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps, TVAC, and acknowledge our members for their heroic efforts. TVAC was founded in 1939. It's staffed 24/7 solely by volunteer members of the community. TVAC members hail from all corners of our diverse town and receive no reimbursement for their services. Additionally, all of TVAC's funding comes from voluntary donations and grants, and we rely on the support of the community to support our operations. Over the past 40 months, TVAC has answered over 15,000 calls for help as the dedicated emergency ambulance service for Teaneck. Our response time is among the fastest in the country, with many members now equipped to respond directly to the scenes of any medical emergency. With 911 calls now being answered by the Teaneck Police Department, TVAC, along with other emergency services, are dispatched within seconds of a 911 call coming in. Dialing 911 in an emergency remains the most efficient way to get the resources that you need, as it provides trained and certified emergency dispatchers to receive the call, location tracking to pinpoint the exact location of the emergency, and a coordinated, immediate response from all resources needed. In honor of EMS Week 2023, we would like to highlight the following important points. You can support TVAC by volunteering and donating. You can volunteer as an EMT. We can help coordinate all the training, which is paid for by the New Jersey EMT Training Fund for volunteers. You can volunteer as an associate member, so you can use your skills in a non-medical capacity to assist some of our committees tasked with maintaining our day-to-day operations. Or you can donate to our EMS campaign, our EMS Week campaign, and all donations are tax deductible. You can visit our website, tnecambulance.org, for more information. Remember to call 911 for emergencies. We encourage everyone to call 911 for any police, fire, or medical emergency on premise. Know that the location of the building phones in the event that cell phones are unavailable, and remember that security guards always have access to a phone. Know the location of any medical equipment. You should know the location of first aid kits, AEDs, advanced medical kits, and familiarize yourself with their location, as you may be asked to fetch them in an emergency. There are 6 days of EMS Week Center that are surrounded by a specific theme, and first responder organizations are encouraged to plan activities around these events. Sunday, May 21st, is Health and Wellness Resilience Day. Monday, May 22nd, is EMS Education Day. Tuesday is EMS Safety Day. Wednesday is EMS for Children Day. And Thursday, May 25th, is Save a Life Day, CPR, and National Stop the Bleed Day. Friday, May 26th, is EMS Recognition Day. Stop the Bleed is an initiative. It's a grassroots national campaign, a call to action. It was established after the Sandy Hook tragedy. Stop the Bleed encourages bystanders like yourselves to become trained and equipped and empowered to help in a bleeding emergency before the EMTs arrive. No matter how fast a professional emergency responder can come, bystanders will always be the first ones on the scene. A person who is bleeding can die from blood loss within 5 minutes. Therefore, it's important to quickly stop the bleed. Those nearest to someone with a life-threatening injury are best positioned to provide that care. Stop the Bleed Day is on May 25th. At Hackensack University Medical Center, we will be running a Stop the Bleed train-a-thon all day, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We do partner at Hackensack University Medical Center. We partner with communities like yours all over the county to help educate not only on EMS Week, but we do Stop the Bleed classes right in your community, so we're happy to come and offer free classes. We do additional classes as well, where we talk about things like advanced directives, living wills, what people may want as they enter the hospital to make sure that their wishes are known. So I'm happy to partner with Rabbi Serbu at any time to come back and speak on other things. I'm honored to be here. I am an alum, I guess, of TNEC Volunteer Ambulance Corps. So when the call to action came out, they said we want to get at least one person from TVAC to represent in all the houses of worship across TNEC this whole weekend. But you guys are lucky, you got 2. So my husband over there is also an alum, and we met on TNEC Ambulance Corps. We're one of the many couples that met there. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sarah, for your work on the TNEC Volunteer Ambulance Corps back in the day and for the life-saving work you still do at Hackensack University Medical Center. Just to remind everyone, in honor of EMS Week and the good work that TVAC does year-round, and in the spirit of the commandment to choose life, I encourage you to make a donation to TVAC. A link is found in the weekly email that went to all Temple members yesterday. In addition, there are flyers at the Oneg Shabbat with the website and a QR code to make it easy to donate. Finally, if you would like to be more public about your support of TVAC, you can take home a lawn sign like this one, which can be found in the corner of the social hall. So we ask for a limited number from TVAC, but if we run out, we can always ask for more and get one for you to put on your lawn. And our service will continue at this time with the Aleinu. The Aleinu is found on page 586 at the bottom of the page. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gdula liotzer breshit shelo son kikuye haratzot lo samanu k'mishpachat adama shelo samech elkeinu kahan v'gar aleinu k'chol amon ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We continue at this time on page 597. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This Shabbat, we remember those for whom we are in the Shloshim 30-day period of mourning: Lorraine Weinberger, aunt of Terry Binder; Ira Ginsburg, father of Seth Ginsburg; and Andrew Peter Corvin. We remember as well those whose yard sites occurred this week: Henry Bauer, Florine Davis, Hyman Diamond, Max F. Eisner, Gertrude Fishbein, Lillian Goldberg, Sherry Goldblatt, Lawrence Goldstein, Vera Groner, Hank Gross, Wade Hamill, Harold Horowitz, Ruth Ingber, Fanny Kahn, Irving Kessler, Harry Kirschenbaum, Melville Lee, Stephen Leo, Henry Mahler, Frank Malarski, Nathan Metz, Ruth Novak, Salman Rappaport, Alan Rosenfeld, Goldie Sedunsky, Pam Silver, Paul Silverstein, Philip Spiewak, Nathan Subin, Maritza Vargas, and Molly Waxman. And we remember the names of the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust: Rebecca Braun of Poland, age 4, Jacob Braun of Poland, age 7, Monique Braun of France, age 11, Israel Bratt of Poland, age 9, Shlema Brandis of the Soviet Union, age 11, and Gutik Bram of Poland, age 6. We remember them all. We take them into our hearts with our own as we turn now to page 598, and we join together in the life-affirming words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalau v'izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, amen. Please be seated. It is my pleasure at this time to call upon Gary Richards, a member of our Board of Trustees, to offer Shabbat greetings and announcements. Okay, there you go.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Friday Shabbat Evening Service. I did have this on my calendar, and I got an email the other day that I'm on the Beamer, but I think it was fate, because right before the pandemic, I was at a seminar that was essentially Stop the Bleed, where they taught you how to use a tourniquet. I purchased 2 of them, one for my home, and I donated one to the temple. It's sitting right outside the office, and I was supposed to teach the board members how to use it, and then the pandemic came next week, and that's it. So I think we have to look at that again and train everybody. In any case, next Friday night, May 26th, please join us for Kabbalat Shabbat services on Zoom. There'll be no services here in the sanctuary. Sunday morning at 9:15, we'll hold a religious school moving up ceremony. Afterward, we'll thank our longtime religious school director, Maura Dora, as she starts the next chapter in her illustrious career. While it's too late to register for the luncheon to honor Dora, both events will be shown on live stream. Also on Sunday, Cantor Tillum and Amanda Eastman will be guest soloists at 3 p.m. in a Disney Spectacular, a benefit concert conceived and directed by our own Tom Mustachio. This show takes place at the Greenwich Congregational Church. Flyers are available in the lobby. On Thursday night, May 25th, please join us for our Erev Shavuot service and confirmation. The evening service begins at 7:30 p.m. We'll gather on Friday morning, May 26th at 10:30, where I will personally greet you with a Chag Sameach, since I will be greeting, for Shavuot morning services and Yizkor. Both services will be held in person and on live stream. Save the date for our annual congregational meeting that will take place on Tuesday, June 6th at 7 p.m. in the Social Hall. And on Tuesday, June 13th at 7 p.m., Movies That Mattered will present Walk on Water in the Social Hall. The film tells the story of a Mossad agent on a mission to track down an aging Nazi officer. Pretending to be a tourist guide, the agent befriends the Nazi's officer's grandchildren in Israel. The relationship challenges the agent's values. Refreshments will be served. And thank you this evening to the live stream people in the live stream control room. Gail and Michael Goldberg were at the controls. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Gary. You heard Gary announce the benefit concert on Sunday that Tom is organizing and directing. The word on the street is parking might be a little bit complicated that day, so we encourage you to go. We encourage you to go early so you can find a good parking spot, and if you'd like pointers on how to park there, talk to Tom after the service. He'll be happy to help you out with that. We are going to conclude with a closing song. Cantor tried to brainstorm what is a good song for EMS Shabbat, and we came up with, well, she came up with, and I agreed, the words of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, the whole world is a very narrow bridge. The main thing is not to be afraid, because probably there is a lot of fear that goes on right before you pick up that phone and you have to call 911, and the EMS arrive. They usually arrive with confidence. They take over the scene, and at that point, the key thing is not to be afraid. So our closing song is Kol Ha'olam Kulo Gesher Tzar Ma'od. It is found in the Siddur on page 643. Please join with us.
Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, gesher tzar me'od. והעיקר, לא לפחד, לא לפחד כלל. והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. כל העולם גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. והעיקר, לא לפחד, לא לפחד כלל. והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל.
We have reached the end of our service. If you've been watching on live stream, it's your last chance to post something in the chat or comment section of the live stream platform. Maybe it's a Yasher Koach to Emma Eig for the duets and the solos that she sang this evening. Perhaps it is a shout out to TVAC or to your local ambulance corps to thank them on this EMS Shabbat. Or perhaps it is just the words that we in the sanctuary are going to offer to one another, because as we conclude our service, we turn to one another and we say, Shabbat Shalom. Amen.